Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. Welcome back to Off-Grid North Idaho. We're getting ready to do a little canning today. We're going to be canning up some store-bought milk. Hopefully that comes in sharp. And we're using our new reusable lids. Like everybody knows, canning lids have been very difficult to come by lately. I broke down a few weeks ago, like actually 2 months ago, and ordered both Tattler lids and Harvest Guard lids over the internet. Wasn't sure if they were going to ship, wasn't sure. I was pretty sure I at least had legitimate websites, as knockoff brands have been a big problem for people too. So I went ahead and ordered them, and they both came within a week of each other. So now I have a little stash. I've never used these before. They work obviously a little bit differently than the disposable one-time use lids, and I'm going to give them a try today. We're taking a look at these. They look, the kids and I just examined, sorry for the shaky hands. My videographer is out helping her dad. They look almost exactly the same. We found very little differences in the actual lid itself. There's some ridges here along the inside lip of each lid. And again, I apologize for the focus coming in and out. It looks like the Harvest Guard might have a few additional little ridges along there, but other than that, they seem very identical. The weight, the feel, except for the imprinting. I'll be honest, I won't be surprised if they're both manufactured at the same facility with the exact same dyes and everything else. The rubbers that come with them are a little bit different. These are the Harvest Guards over here on the right. They're a darker color. I don't know that they feel any thinner in thickness. They appear actually to be the same in diameter with the same opening. So maybe they're just a slightly different color. So we're going to try canning up our milk, which is a pressure canning process. This is not USDA approved. This is a Rebel canner thing. So when I pressure can my milk, I'm going to put it into my jars, cold milk, cold canner, cold jars. I'll bring it up to venting so that it's steaming. I'll vent for 10 minutes like normal. Bring it up to pressure for my elevation, which is 12 pounds of pressure, and then I will immediately turn off the heat, carefully slide my canner off of the heated burner, and let it come down to room temperature, and then remove my jars. So I'm hoping to have enough milk to get a half a dozen pints with the Tattler lids and a half a dozen pints with the Harvest Guard lids. And we shall see how that goes. Checking in later. Okay, we are putting the rings and the lids on. So you can see here, I'm going to come in close. These rings just sit right on the edge. There's not a lot of overlap there. The lids have this little lip down inside of them, and they just sit right on like that. And the lip goes down right inside. I'm going to fill up these jars. Well, I filled the jars up with the milk. Now I'm going to put all of the lids and rings on them. Be right back. Alright, so after putting all of the lids on the jars, please excuse all the stuff you see in my sink, I decided to go back. Instead of placing this ring on the jar first, I went back and put it around the lid and then set it down on over here. And I think that just seems to make more sense to me, because that's going to be the goal anyways, is that you're going to be setting it down in and it's going to seat. So I decided to do it that way. We'll see if that was the best plan. I can also say, after doing these, that the Harvest Guard rings, that's what I'm holding here, are just a little bit thinner in the thickness, and they are a little bit bigger in the open diameter, so they seat on their lids just a little bit more loosely with a little more play around that center area than do the Tattlers. And at this point, I don't know if that matters or not. I don't even remember at this point if the Harvest Guard were less expensive than the Tattlers. But we'll look at all of that afterwards. I'll pull up my receipts and look at them. And for now, we're going to go ahead and get these into the canner. All right, we're back after processing our first batch of milk with the Tattler lids and the Harvest Guard lids, the reusable type. When I put the jars in, I made sure that the metal bands, these are just regular metal bands by the way, were not tight at all. I just barely had them on there enough so they wouldn't just flop off. So now once they come out of the canner, you let them set for 5 to 10 minutes just to cool off a little bit to the touch, and then you crank those metal bands down very securely. They even suggest that you put a towel over the jars while you're doing so, just in case anything spills, so that you do not burn yourself, because of course after having come up to pressure, these are still very hot jars and very hot contents. So now we let these sit for 12 to 24 hours to completely seal. I don't anticipate that we get the ping like we do with the metal jars, but maybe we will. So I will keep an eye on them and check them out. Good morning, we're back. It is Thanksgiving Day here at Off-Grid North Idaho, and we are checking on our canning process. So after we raided some of the milk last night to make our rolls for Thanksgiving dinner, we came up with 11 jars of milk and sour cream that we had processed and pulled out of the canner and let sit all night. I had 9 jars that sealed properly. 2 jars did not. I had this jar, which is a Harvest Guard lid, did not seal at all. It was a sour cream jar. This jar was a Tattler lid, and it was a milk jar, did not seal. So I realized after I had done all the processing that I had failed to do a critical step in the preparation. I did not gently simmer or boil my lids and rings prior to putting them on the jars. Now, how much difference this made in this particular canning process, because I was going with cold jars, cold milk, and a cold canner, would they have just cooled back down anyways before they had heated up, or would it have made a difference? Not entirely sure. Next time I will absolutely make sure to simmer and boil them though, regardless of what product I am canning. But overall, I'm not entirely unpleased. It's under a 20% fail rate. For my first time using them, I'm pretty pleased with that. And milk and sour cream is not something that we're going to have any trouble using up really fast around here. They'll be gone by tonight. So I'm going to clean these up, and I will complete the video going into more detail. I further have done more looking at these lids between the Harvest Guard and the Tattlers, and there are differences. I totally recant what I said in the sneak peek. There are differences between the rings and the lids themselves. So I'll update you on all of that. Back in a few. Hi, this is Off-Grid North Idaho, and we're back with our Harvest Guard versus Tattler reusable lid head-to-head competition. So we were canning milk this time for my first time trying them out, and I have to recant a lot that I said in my sneak peek video because there are differences between the two lids, and I didn't realize that. Just to tell you the truth, I've been battling with eyesight stuff and contact lens prescriptions, and my up-close vision was really bad that day. So I've changed my contacts around, and now that I can see better, there's a ton of differences. Quick update on the pricing between the Harvest Guard and the Tattler lids. The Tattler wide mouth lids came in at 81 cents each. And the Harvest Guard were slightly less expensive. The wide mouth lids for the Harvest Guard came in at 76 cents each. On the regular size, the Tattlers came in at 72 cents each, and the Harvest Guard again were a little bit less expensive at 68 cents each. So one of the big differences between the Tattler lids and the Harvest Guards is that these Tattlers that I got, they're brand new, and they're an easy Tattler lid. And they have a couple of indentations around this outer part of the rim here that the Harvest Guards do not have. I also discovered that the Harvest Guards are produced by, I believe it is the son of the man that came up with the Tattlers. And he uses for his design the original Tattler lid design. Tattler upgraded to what they call the Easy Lid. That's supposed to make it more similar to the reusable flat lids that not the reusable, I take that back, the one-time use flat lids that everybody is used to. So this is supposed to be easier for people transitioning over. So that's one of the big differences, is that with this Easy Lid, you're able to tighten it down the same amount that you would a metal flat lid. Whereas the Harvest Guard lid, you need to keep it pretty loose. Now, all told, out of all the jars that I did, I had 10 jars. I had 5 of each kind, and I had 1 failure on each one. I also failed on my part to boil the lids and the rubber gasket rings before I put them on the jars. So that could have contributed to it as well. I think this worked great. I feel like they both performed equally well. I'm totally happy with them. I've got more to try, so I'm going to be doing a lot of turkey broth leftovers, canning those from Thanksgiving, and I will do another batch. I'll videotape, and we'll see how they do when I actually boil them and use them according to the instructions. See if I can get a 100% seal rate with no failures at all. So I would say that based on my comparison, they work identical. They both perform equally well. I'm very happy with them. I'm so grateful that I've got them. And I still have a lot of metal lids in my backup stash, but I feel so much better knowing that I've got reusables now going into years forward. Because who knows what 2021 is going to bring. It could be even worse than 2020 was. So I'll do another video to let you know how the sour cream results were and how our milk results were. So thank you so much. We're over and out here at Off Grid North Idaho.